Wow, what a great day. I was just thinking as I was sitting there listening to all the presentations, how cool it is that we're here because of a common passion. So often I go to conferences and it's, oh, you're in this or that discipline, but it's so cool to be with this group today. So another big thanks to Francesca, Janar, and Joy, and all the presenters. It's been a great day. Yes. So I'm going to finish us off here talking about yet another application, in this time in the pediatric patient space. And I'm going to talk with my why. Why did I do this? So my name is Scott Comulada. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Psychiatry and Health Policy Management. But I ventured out of my usual academic role for this particular project. And I'll start with my why. So this is my daughter about 5-6 years ago. And like a lot of kids, she was getting ear infections and she was snoring. So she had to get the outpatient surgery where you get the tubes put in and they kind of scrape your adenoid. So she was terrified, understandably. You know, who likes to get surgery? And especially for a kid, how do you explain what a surgery is going to be? You know, her friends at school were like, they're going to cut your stomach open and telling her all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, they're kids. That's what kids do, right? So, you know, I was trying to explain to her what surgery is going to be like. It's going to be okay. And there was great clinical staff, but she still had questions. She said, what's it going to look like? What, you know, she's a little shy. Who am I going to meet? All these questions I couldn't really answer. And so it kind of started me down this path. How can we create an experience for kids to kind of acclimate them to that perioperative environment so they're less scared? And so that's really my why. Why did I get into this? And, you know, talking to a lot of clinicians, not surprisingly, kids are scared before medical procedures. This is a really common problem. They're anxious, there's behavioral responses, they try to run. Clinical staff, probably like Janar knows this, nurses, other staff, they have to hold the kids down. It's just not fun for anybody because they don't know what's happening to them. It's really scary. And so it ends up sometimes the kids don't get the care they need. They end up in the hospital longer than they should be. And so if we think about, before I get into the VR, kind of thinking about what are the other things people do now? Because we don't want to just jump to a VR solution if what else is being done is maybe it's good enough. So that kind of started me down that path. What do people do now? What can we take away from that to build a VR experience? And so right now, for non-pharmacological strategies, of course, you can give kids anti-anxiety meds, benzos, but that's not always the most ideal solution, right? So most things center on the child life specialists and the nurses, most of these strategies. And of course, the most important thing is to talk to the kids. And that's, even if you build a VR solution, that's always going to be the most important thing, is that conversation. But talk alone doesn't usually cut it because the communication piece, it's just not that easy necessarily. There's miscommunication and not everybody's good at it, trying to talk to a kid. You know, there's also a lot of good online resources, which as a parent, of course, we tried out, showing my daughter, look, here's a little hospital tour and things like that. But again, in her mind, she's going like, yeah, but I haven't been in a surgical ward in a hospital. I don't know what it's going to be like. It's still scary. There we go. And of course, we try to distract people. There's therapy dogs, there's electronic games. There was no therapy dog at the place where my daughter had surgery. So these are not necessarily scalable solutions like a VR headset. And of course, there's all kinds of sensory devices. Some of them look like the interrogation droid in Star Wars, but you know, the kids like to play with them and stuff. So those are options. But the solution that I think feeds into VR the most nicely is this concept of medical play. And it's this idea where a clinician actually shows the kid, here's some medical devices. You might have a blood pressure cuff on your arm. You might have an induction mask on your face to put you to sleep. And so those are some of the things that can happen. But again, not necessarily a scalable solution because clinicians are often busy. You know, this might happen at really large hospitals, but like when my daughter went, there was no medical play involved. It was just, okay, we scheduled your surgery, they roll you in and they do it. So again, can we build off of maybe the non-VR solutions and do a little bit better with an immersive experience? And this also ties into this idea with medical play of rehearsal, giving a person a chance to rehearse and go through something and kind of acclimate. And so this is where the VR comes in. And you know, the importance of rehearsal is captured so wonderfully. I don't know if you've seen this, I see some nods.
Yeah.
Right? And I think they're coming out with season 2. And if you haven't seen the show, it's the idea that he asks people about stressful situations. It could be as simple as telling a friend that they've been lying to them for years about something, and they want to rehearse that. And so he has a lot of money, so he brings in actors that look like that friend, and he even recreates the scenario where they're going to talk to the friend. It could be at a bar, and so he recreates the whole bar. So as I was watching the show, I was thinking, well, we can do that too with VR. Right? We don't have to go out and hire an actor, or, you know, we can kind of recreate. So again, it gets me thinking about what are scalable solutions, because obviously we don't all have the pull of Nathan to do these things. So the VR space. So this is where I went down that path and I started talking to developers, clinicians, and I said, hey, let's do this. Can we build something for kids? So this is my first attempt. So I'll make the disclaimer, like some of you had said, this is very early stages still, but it's a project I've had a lot of fun with, and you know, I think we can help some kids with it. So I'm going to do a little video here just to kind of demo it and walk you through it. Let's see if this works. We're doing something. No, let's try one more click. Do I have to click here? Yeah, maybe. No. Let's see. Or not. Uh-oh, what happened there? Let me go back. Well, okay. Give one more try, and then if it doesn't work, I will just keep talking. You can click on the QR code and see the video, but I was hoping to kind of walk you through it. This shows the opening scene that you see. And so what this idea is, we want to build an experience where you help your animal friend get ready for surgery. And this actually mirrors medical play a lot, where they'll work with the kids and they might bring in a teddy bear with them. And they actually do medical procedures on the teddy bear. And they can, oh, he may.
I think I can cast it.
Oh, okay, cool, thank you. I'll keep talking while you're, thank you so much, sure. So the idea is you help your little animal friend, and so in this case, it's a narwhal. And you, let's see, cool. You help your narwhal get ready for surgery. And so we talk to child life specialists, surgeons, and kind of ask them, what are the things you would, oh, perfect. Okay, cool. So this just kind of shows.
Welcome to the surgery prep experience.
This shows some of the
Let's help our
scenes
friend,
that
the narwhal, get ready for surgery.
you can turn the volume down too if you want even. Oh, perfect, thank you. So this shows some of the things you encounter that you help the narwhal weigh themselves, because they said even getting weighed
Click on the
can be
highlighted
scary for
captions
kids
to check the narwhal's
sometimes.
blood pressure.
And they said, you know, putting the blood pressure cuff, that can be kind of scary for kids, even doing that. So they wanted to show them that. There's some gamification. The kids get stars as they complete activities. And they see the induction mask, very scary, even for an adult, right? If you've got something going over your face. And they said even being wheeled down the hallway, if you're still awake, that can be pretty scary. You're like, where am I going? So they really wanted us to show that part. And then finally, in the OR, where you can kind of see the mask going over. You can click on different things like the screen, it's got an aquarium that kind of comes to life. What the video doesn't depict here so much is you also hear beeping sounds, which that can be very jarring too for kids. So we kind of wanted to depict the beeps, the room that can look intimidating with all this equipment around you, can really scare people. And then ultimately at the end, we wanted to show them that you wake up at the end. You know, you help put the narwhal to sleep, but then when the mask comes off at the end, the narwhal wakes up. So that was a really important part. And that's, yeah, the narwhal's waking up there. Thank you. Thanks for so much. Awesome. So that's it. Thank you. Perfect. So we'll go back to this part. Awesome. And so really quick, I just wanted, did I set this up on a timer somehow accidentally? Okay, that's crazy. So as all of us have found, and I'm kind of preaching to the choir with this, it's all about multidisciplinary teams. So definitely working with the developers, but also a lot of clinicians. And this is a busy slide, but that's really the takeaway here. Certainly child life specialists, surgeons, hospitalists, people involved in this process. And we worked with the MetaQuest too, because that was the gear that the hospital we knew we were going to work with had. So we wanted to make it easy for them. You know, some of the design considerations that all of you go through, I just listed a few of the big ones, was asking people with our budget, what are the key scenes? They're like, okay, pre-op, going down a hallway, showing that, the surgical, the OR, and then recovery, the patient waking up. User perspective was a big one. Do we make it a first person or third? You know, we went back and forth on this one, and I think the deciding factor was you probably get less sick with the camera angles with a third person perspective versus first, because I got a little sick trying that out with first person. So we went with the third for that. And then just how much gamification. It's always that balance. How do you strike that? And then just the activities. So those are some of the considerations. We did a pilot study last year at Santa Monica Medical Center. We enrolled 15 pediatric patients, ages from 7 up to 14, and it was a one-time test of the app. And then we asked them some basic questions. What do you like? What do you dislike about it? And we went through it. So, you know, some of the basic things we wanted to see is, would patients use this? Would they complete the study? You know, they were pretty excited about it. Hospitals there's a lot of potential tech issues with Wi-Fi issues and all that. It actually worked pretty well, but we had a very tech-savvy child life specialist, so that's probably why. You know, some of the things they liked, which we were happy to see, we talked to the parents as well as the kids having surgery, and, you know, this idea of the acclimation. The patients and the parents really liked, well, they can see what it's going to be like, so that was a huge plus, but there was also some element of distraction, and it was something new and fun. Of course, there were some things they didn't like. You know, headsets can be clunky, especially for a child. So I don't know if we have a great solution for that, but that was one of the things. You know, one kid, there were the eyes, the blurriness a little bit, which again, it's not easy to have a solution. One complaint was they wanted the experience to be longer, which that was a good complaint. We were happy with that one. We have to work on that. A challenge with kids too is that the younger kids were happy with the animal characters. Some of the older kids, not so much. That's too babyish. So we didn't have the budget to develop different types of characters, but it's something we'll think about moving forward to create different scenarios. And that's it. I'll stop there. Thanks for your time.
Somehow lost. Oh, the mic is over there. Any questions for Scott? Well, we actually have one bonus presentation
All right.
left to go. So, Jordan.
Yeah.
Did you find that it helped with anxiety? For the
This
kids,
was
did they
a
say they
feasibility anxiety study, so we didn't, or a feasibility acceptability study, so we didn't measure that.
Yeah,
So we thought it might have, but I can't say conclusively.
you'd have to
But
have people not using it versus.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely, or even doing a pre-post type setup,
Yeah.
and we didn't get that far. But we want to evaluate that. Great question. Thanks. Or.
Yeah, I'm just curious how you got in touch with the developer company, Certas, I guess. Did you receive the grant before then, or was it like planned from the beginning to
You know,
develop
that's a good question. How did I get in touch with them? I think I just called a lot of different developers and kind of found one that believed in what we were doing and, you know, was willing to do some stuff below cost, probably, which is hard to find, and just kind of that connection, talking to developers and, you know, kind of believing what we were doing and them being excited about it too. So yeah, I guess that's always a challenge for all of us, right? How do you find your developers?
And so this is currently available on the Metastore?
Yeah, I found
It is, yeah.
Great. Yeah, I was just thinking also, about like home use cases. My niece has a lot of anxiety and her mind returns the same idea over and over and over
Yeah.
again. I think like the replayability is really interesting too,
Right.
where she can do it a number of times, every time
Right.
she, like, it's not the anxiety of being there, but it's like the advanced anxiety. So when she's already
Absolutely.
like worried about it in advance, she can play it. I just think
Yeah.
that's such a beautiful
Thank you, yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to add to what Scott did was something that a lot of people who have the right intent going into, wanting to create better solutions for a lot of our, healthcare gaps and needs. I say our as if I speak for the whole profession, but it's just I've seen a lot over the years, but we get thrown so much tech and, whether it's the patients or the clinicians, and it's rare that we find people who are willing to take the extra time, effort, money, energy to really bring everybody together. You talked to the child life specialist, got their input on creating this story. You talked to the kids. You really took your time to develop a solution that was going to actually work versus assuming what you think would work and then, things not working out in the end.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say.
Thank you. I mean, that guess comes from the psychiatry implementation science background of that approach, which I think everyone in this room kind of has, which again, it's great being with like-minded people.
Yeah, just a really quick question. What kind of budget did you work with for the project?
Well, a lot of it was self-funded, so we didn't even really have a grant. So let's say, it was not cheap. Yeah.
I was telling Scott before, I think a lot of people would find it interesting, just the funding, the actual cost of creating it, and just reimbursement or all of those questions, which maybe we could do a workshop or webinar.
Because a lot of the cost with these kinds of things too, as we know, it's often not even just the development, but it's, if you run this as a research study, it's all the staff. So like the child life specialist, we didn't pay her. She's just like, I really love this idea. And she donated her own time to basically run the whole study, which I was blown away, and everyone else involved. So there was a lot of volunteering too. Yeah.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Scott.